At 3:39 this morning, a Volkswagen Passat that was travelling the wrong way down the A66 has collided with a marked Cleveland Police armed response vehicle which was travelling on the correct side of the road. Tragically, 2 police officers, PC Matthew Blades and PC Tom Clough, died at the scene, along with the 5 occupants of the Passat as a result of the collision. This is an incredibly sad day for Cleveland. The loss has been felt across our communities, by our police family and by our partner agencies. These were brave officers, protecting our communities and serving our residents who didn't return home to their families at the end of their shift. My thoughts and the thoughts of everybody here at Cleveland Police are with their families, friends, colleagues and loved ones at this incredibly difficult time. Earlier today, the Deputy Chief Constable and I visited Matthew and Tom's families to offer our condolences, support one another and begin to come to terms with this unimaginable loss. Formal identification has now taken place for the occupants of the Volkswagen Passat, and specialist family liaison officers are being deployed to support the bereaved families. We also have support in place for our officers and staff who have been affected by today's tragic events. As is mandatory following any death connected to a police incident, we have referred the matter to the Independent Office for Police Conduct and are fully cooperating with their investigation. Whilst this investigation is ongoing, and out of respect for all those who have lost loved ones, I would strongly urge people to avoid speculation and respect the privacy of the families. Thank you.
That was Chief Constable of Cleveland Police, Victoria Fuller, and she talked about it being a sad day for Cleveland Police, and actually you could hear in her voice how incredibly moved she was and how difficult I could see how she found it was to bring that statement to the public, because she would know, of course, the 2 police officers who were serving, who died. So she said 2 police officers were protecting the community and they won't return home at the end of their shift. She she said her thoughts were with all the friends and families and loved ones of all the people who lost their lives in the accident on the A66 in the early hours of the morning. She said specialist officers were with all the families and friends and loved ones of those who had lost people in this incident. But what really struck me, and if I can bring in Barnaby Papadopoulos, our correspondent covering this story, what really struck me, Barnaby, was how she kind of seemed like she was struggling to bring those words to the public at times. She was incredibly moved as she was bringing that statement to us. And I think that just goes to show, and we often report on these sorts of stories, don't we? But these are personal stories and people have lost colleagues here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's what came across to me as well. The Chief Constable's voice almost breaking there as she addressed the press and the public and spoke about the loss of 2 colleagues that she named as PC Matthew Blades and PC Tom Clough, the 2 police officers that she says were in that marked police car that she says was travelling the direct way, the proper way up the A66, where it collided with the Volkswagen. And just worth pointing out that Cleveland Police is a very small police force. This is not, this is not the Metropolitan Police. This is not West Midlands Police. So you're exactly right. The Chief Constable may well have known these two officers personally. The other officers on the force, support staff, will almost certainly have done. And that is why that was such an emotional statement there from Victoria Fuller, from the Chief Constable of Cleveland Police. And she also said that she has visited the families of, as she put it, Matt and Tom, I think she said. She said she visited their families with the Deputy Chief Constable from Cleveland Police to break the news to them and to be with them at a time of unimaginable loss, was how she put it, the unimaginable loss of two colleagues. She said this was an incredibly sad day. She described the two officers, the two men who died, as brave officers protecting our community and serving our residents. And of course, along with those two officers who died as a result of the incident on the A66 earlier today, just before 4 a.m., 5 other people died. The people in the Volkswagen which collided with that police car on the outskirts of Middlesbrough on the A66. She said that formal identification has now taken place, and she also said that liaison officers, specialist officers, are working and speaking to the families of the 5 other people who have died. She also pointed out that there is specialist support available for her officers and support staff as they deal with this. And just finishing her statement there in exactly the same way that the Prime Minister did, that the Home Secretary did, urging the public not to speculate on what exactly happened and to respect the privacy of the families of those involved. And of course, there is now an independent Office for Police Conduct investigation, an IOPC investigation. That is something that is completely standard procedure when there is a death after contact with the police. So that is standard, that is ongoing. She says in her statement there that they are cooperating fully, but absolutely right. This is a personal tragedy for her, for the officers of Cleveland Police Force, of course, for the families and friends of the 5 people in the Volkswagen. It is, as the Home Secretary said earlier today, it is, something which is deeply tragic.
Yeah, Barnaby, as you say, she mentioned the names of the 2 police officers who died, and we must remember there were 5 other members of the public who died in the accident as well. But she mentioned Matthew Blades and Tom Clough, but the second time she mentioned them, she just said Matthew and Tom, and that gave you the real insight, as you say, that she knew them, or that she was familiar with them. She didn't refer to them with their full names. She referred to them as with their first names. And then, obviously, her voice sort of breaking up as she was bringing that statement gave you that impression that, this is something that's really personally affected her. And as you say, it's a small police force, so that this will really rock the Cleveland Police Force. And we've also had, going from that small scale, from the personal, from those connections that those people will know, to the big scale, we've had a statement from the Prime Minister and from the Home Secretary, haven't we?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The death of a police officer in the line of duty is something which is fairly rare. Because of this, 2 police officers have died as a result of this incident. And so both the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, passing on their condolences over this incident. Andy Burnham also in his statement saying that his thoughts be with the family and friends of the 5 people in the Volkswagen, the 5 members of the public who have lost their life as well. But it was an incredibly emotional statement from the Chief Constable of Cleveland Police. We have seen press conferences like this, of course, before, but you could really feel the emotion from Victoria Fuller, her voice breaking as she spoke about, as she put it, as you said, Matthew and Tom, 2 people who were known to her, were colleagues, and who, as she said in her statement, went to work and didn't come home at the end of their shift. Now, the exact circumstances of this crash are still being investigated. That investigation is going to take time. But what we know at the moment is that a pursuit was ongoing. The two police officers were in a marked police car travelling in the correct direction on the A66, and they collided with the Volkswagen. And the pictures that we've been playing over the course of the morning of that crash site just give you some indication as to how serious an incident this was. Debris across the road. And of course, we have learnt over the last few hours that 7 people lost their lives as a result of that collision, including 2 police officers. Cleveland Police is a small force. These are officers who may well have been known to the Chief Constable, the Deputy Chief Constable, and that is why I think we saw such an emotional statement there from Victoria Fuller.